The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello everybody, it's Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer at Alldus International, and you are listening to the Alldus podcast as part of our ServiceNow series. I'm very happy to welcome Martin Ivanov. Martin is a seasoned developer who's on track to be an architect, and he is very helpful within the world of ServiceNow in the community, and particularly on YouTube and also within LinkedIn as well. Martin, great to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Hell.
You've got a very interesting work history. It'd be great to hear more about that and your journey into ServiceNow.
So I just have to mention that it was not always like that. In my early days, I graduated something really different. I am an environmental engineer. I was studying environmental engineer here in Sofia. Then I went for a master in Spain. It was a quite nice experience, by the way. So I worked my first 7 years, my professional experience in the environmental and sustainability consulting, but technology was always a passion. At some point, I decided to switch. I identified the tech job market is developing quite good, and I decided for a career shift. I left my full-time job and jumped into an intensive web application development course with Java. This one was 6 months long. I lived without any income, but I lived with the passion to start something new, to develop the right skills and jump into the area the right way. Apart from the hours that we had in the college, I also invested a lot of efforts. I sacrificed my sleep. I limited all my favorite activities like fishing and playing tennis to the minimum, and I was devoted all to the programming.
That is full on commitment. Sounds like something like From Pursuit of Happiness, but Will Smith there. So really inspiring. And how did you find the world of ServiceNow? How have your feelings been about it?
I like to say that it was a chance. During the course, we visited partnering companies of the academy, and one of them got my attention. It was an IT consultancy which was implementing ITSM solutions, which is something that I had never heard of before joining the IT, but still this was a consultancy company and I had a consultancy experience and I knew how to talk to clients, how to behave on meetings and so on, so all these transferable skills. And I decided to jump in. In fact, apart from the technical skills that were not that robust back then, I was able to apply all of my experience to the new role. So I proactively reached out to this company and I was hired even before the end of the crash course that I mentioned earlier. Actually, I was the first person out of these 40 people in our cohort to be hired by someone. And I joined a team which was developing IT solutions, but not based on ServiceNow. These were based on another ITSM platform. I was talking in one of the lunch breaks. I was talking to some colleagues from the ServiceNow team, and I learned that ServiceNow is offering a lot of now learning courses, some of them free of charge. But more importantly, I also understand that there is a free personal developer instance provided by ServiceNow, which I think is a game changer for people starting with ServiceNow from the very beginning.
Tell us a little about some of the projects that you've been involved in.
Well, during my first ServiceNow job, I was hired by a customer. So we were developing internally for the company. It was not separated by projects, but it was day-to-day tasks. But afterwards, I joined Deloitte, the biggest ServiceNow consultancy provider in the world. And one of the first projects that I was assigned to was for a company which was splitting their legal entity worldwide. And our job as a consultant was to split their ServiceNow instance as well. And it was a fun fact that I joined the company on Monday. It was the 2nd of August, and I was cleansing up a little bit my email from the welcome messages from the team, and I found an invitation for a kickoff event on the next day. A little bit scared, but I jumped right into it, and the project was quite challenging because the company had ServiceNow since the early days of ServiceNow, and all of the company processes were transferred and were implemented in ServiceNow via ServiceNow applications, which means a huge number of custom applications, huge number of tables, integrations, and data. And all of these had to be split and made available to the new legal entities that were to be produced after the split. And the tough part, this is a huge amount of data, and every single piece of data had to be identified. Every single piece had to be tagged in order to be transferred to the corresponding company after the split. And one of my duties there was to take care about the instance clone. And I did a lot of extensive research on the topic. I was not able to find a good, robust article to guide me through the process. So I decided to write one after the project end. And I'm happy to share that this article was actually currently featured by Mark Scodell, one of the ServiceNow MVPs, which makes me very proud of myself.
What I love about that story is a few things. You just put your hand up and you said, I'm just going to jump straight in and see if I can add some value. And you sent the elevator down for everybody because you didn't see the documentation to help you through, but you said, hey, let's not reinvent the wheel here. Let me share my findings. And then we've got Mike sharing it as well. And actually, funny enough, a few more questions. Mike was our previous guest. He's got a nice question for you as well. So before we jump into that question, not only have you created content for the benefit of the ServiceNow community, but you've also benefited from advice from others. It'd be great to hear an example of that.
Yeah, okay. So see, my second favorite project comes in play here. We were developing a screening application internally here in Deloitte. I was in the role of architect and then senior developer there. And as I mentioned, it was a screening application, but the initial requirements was something like 2,500 searches a day, which is not a huge number. And at that point of time, no one cared about performance. But as it often happens, the requirements then changed and the estimated load rose to 200,000 searches per day, and then one more time to 1 million searches a day. It was in my queue to figure out how to speed up the whole process, how to optimize the integration with the third-party system. And as always, I jumped into the community. I asked some questions here and there, and I got a lot of help from probably Tim Woodruff and the Discord channel that he is driving. And I implemented these suggestions, and I was able to reach not the 1 million searches, but actually 3.5 million searches a day. So I speeded up the whole thing 40 times with the help of the community. And by the way, I have 2 community articles written on that topic as well.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
One of the things that I've noted within the community is the fantastic personal brand as a result of your community engagement. Tell us a little bit about how that kind of came about.
So now and back in the days of my first early days in ServiceNow, the community was one of my primary sources of knowledge. So this is the place where people discuss complex issues and solutions for cases which cannot be found in the initial documentation. The documentation covers the base case scenario, but quite often we as a developer fall into cases that are not that easily solvable with the documentation. And being there constantly, at some point, I gained confidence not only to ask questions, but also started answering questions. I also started sharing interesting ServiceNow content on LinkedIn, which gave me a wider audience. I have new followers every single day, which is, according to me, is a sign of a good quality content. And another aspect of the whole thing is the mentorship. ServiceNow launched last year a mentorship program where I became a mentor. I was assigned a mentee with whom I have a monthly mentorship sessions where we discuss small wins and challenges on his way of a ServiceNow development. And I am also proud to share that he recently admitted that if it was not my mentorship, he would probably give up ServiceNow because he started working with another platform and he is not dealing with ServiceNow on a daily basis. But instead of giving up, he continued developing ServiceNow skills instead in his free time. And even though that these are not crucial for his career development right now, which makes me a lot of happy. I retained one more person into the space, which will probably become a content creator in the future. Who knows?
I love that. What a fantastic story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. You've been awarded for your content, so congratulations on that, Martin. What does being a ServiceNow Rising Star mean for you?
Thank you. Yeah, as a service now has the two recognition programs. One of them is the community MVP, which is being given to the highest performing people in the space. And my goal is, of course, to be there one day. But this year they launched another program called the Rising Star. It's an intermediate program, actually a stepping stone to the for contributors aiming at the MVP award, but who are not there yet. So the program is designed to support these people to reach their full potential and probably become a MVP one day. So the award comes with a lot of perks. First, the recognition, but being one of the 58 people worldwide feels pretty good. And the award itself, it's not alone. It comes with some perks, which I cannot mention right now. But one of the things that I can mention is that because of the award, I was invited to participate the Knowledge Conference this year, which is a whole new universe for ServiceNow developers. This is the place where I met the CEO, Bill McDermott. I was pretty much inspired by his keynote speech. I attended hundreds of presentations about some successful projects and the new product developments in the area, as well as I participated the Creator Con, which is the small part of the conference dedicated to the technical people like us. And I also met some clients which I knew only online, and we had the chance to have some drinks and casual chatting in person, which is quite valuable these days with the pandemic and all that stuff.
What an exceptionally exciting thing to be a part of, getting to do all that and through hard work and effort you got there, which is absolutely fantastic. It's just so exciting to be a part of. And I think you're probably inspiring a few other people online as they listen to this now. What advice do you have for those looking to join the ServiceNow space, having changed your career path so successfully?
Something that I have ever done, if you decide to something, just do it. The ServiceNow space and the environment is very inclusive. There are tons of free content. As I mentioned, one of my inspiration was the free Now Learning courses, so these are available to everyone. Even now, ServiceNow is offering the first and the foundational certificate for free, so you can get certified actually at no cost. The only thing that you should invest is some effort and preparation. But yeah, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands people out there ready to help you and guide you through the first steps, as well as for the more complex challenges that you will face in the future. And the only thing that you need to invest is some patience. So be there, be passionate, be proactive, and of course, be consistent and persistent, and the success will inevitably arrive as it happened in my case.
Fantastic advice, really good advice. Martin, the question that actually Mike asked is, do you think ServiceNow growth may slow down? And if so, why?
Okay, it may slow down, but not significantly and not in the future years. What I think about that is right now, ServiceNow is the most robust, the most, how to say, the most complete software as a service platform, and a lot of companies are investing a huge amount of money in the space, which means that these implementations should be further maintained and enhanced, and I don't see these things slowing down in the following probably 10, 15 years. Recently, I read a statement by Robert Fedoruk saying that if ServiceNow at some point dies, this will be because of the level of customization. ServiceNow recommends that people stick, the end companies stick as much as possible to the out-of-the-box functionality, because the over customization is then not maintainable. If we, as the developers and architects and advisors, manage to advise our clients to stick to the out-of-the-box functionality and minimize the customization to the minimum, then I don't see any reason for the slowdown.
Excellent. Now your turn. What question would you like to ask our next guest?
Okay, I don't know who will be the next guest, but I guess it will be someone like just like us with a lot of experience and service now. So my question is, and it is a challenge for me as well. My question is, how do you manage to maintain your ServiceNow knowledge to learn the new stuff? Because ServiceNow is developing new products quite fast, and we, as developers, it is a little bit hard for us to stick with the pace and while serving our clients at the same time. So if you can share some tips and tricks on how to enhance your knowledge on a daily basis, I'll be grateful.
Brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant question, Martin. You've been listening to the Alldus podcast as part of our ServiceNow series, and my name is Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer at Alldus International. And today I've had the absolute pleasure of being chatting with Martin Ivanov. And Martin is a Rising Star who's been doing fantastic work within the ServiceNow consultancy area, and he's been also adding a lot of value within the community, LinkedIn and social media. And in the podcast, we've been sharing about his journey to now, some of the work that he does, how he adds value to the community. We talked a little bit about some case studies, and we talked about how the potential for ServiceNow to add significant value in the future. Martin, thank you so much for your time on the show today.
Thank you too. It was my pleasure being here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.